Am I really about to defend my beloved female protagonist? You bet I am. So I've had this video idea for a while, but never really had the chance to push it out until now. Growing up watching a lot of cartoons, I generally tend to be drawn to the main characters, and I know the same can't be said for other people, which is completely fine. Some viewers tend to relate more to the side characters, whilst others like myself relate more to the main characters. But after becoming more active on social media, I've noticed that main characters, but more specifically main characters who are women, draw a lot of unnecessary and unwarranted hate. Now, of course, everyone is more than entitled to their opinion, but one thing that particularly baffles me is when I see the phrase Mary Sue being tossed around flamboyantly. So, in today's video, brought to you by the one and only, your girl, the Cartoon Hotspot, I'm going to be debunking the Mary Sue accusations and defending one of its victims, Winx Club's very own, Bloom. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and for returning subscribers, welcome back. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and turn on that bell button for post notifications. Without further ado, let's begin. First, we'll start by defining what a Mary Sue is. By Google's definition, a Mary Sue is a female character who is depicted as unrealistically lacking in flaws or weaknesses. To take this one step further, a Mary Sue is perfect, unrealistically talented, typically almost never faces consequences for their actions. In other words, the plot conveniently solves itself, is loved by everyone but hated by the mean girls, and every other character around her is essentially dumbed down to make her look smart. Bloom has got to be one of the most hated female protagonists I've ever come across, and for no apparent reason. I'm not sure if this is just an edgy trend that people follow, but one thing we need to get straight is that it's perfectly fine to dislike a character for whatever reason that might be. The problem comes in when people begin to let their personal disdain get in the way of making objective analysis, to the extent whereby a lot of phrases are being thrown around when it simply does not pertain to a character or a situation. I am of the opinion that if you can't put aside your feelings when formulating a critical analysis of some sort, then you probably aren't mature enough to be consuming a piece of media in the first place. Just my opinion, take it or leave it. Anyways, Bloom is the main character of Winx Club. Born in the realm of Domino, Bloom grew up on Earth after the ancestral witches and Valtor attacked her home planet in search of the unformidable power known as the Dragon Flame, which in essence is the flame of life, the very power that birthed the magical universe. Bloom happened to be the keeper of the Dragon Flame, which put her in danger. At the very last resort, in hope of saving Bloom, Daphne, her older sister and a very powerful fairy, sent her off to Earth, where Bloom would be kept safe and her powers would go undetected by the witches. After discovering she is in fact a fairy, Bloom embarks on a journey of self-discovery and enrolls at Althea, a boarding school in the realm of magic, where she learns more about her past, including the whereabouts of her birth parents and what exactly became of Domino. Bloom is extremely caring and charismatic and somewhat quirky. She is shown to be courageous, selfless, and a natural-born leader. Bloom is tough when necessary and is always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need. Bloom, on the other hand, is an escapist who runs away from her problems when they become too much for her. Her fury can both be her greatest strength and her greatest weakness, particularly during the golden era of Winx Club seasons 1 to 3. It can either help her defeat her adversaries or put her in direct danger. In season 1 episode 9, when the Winx go head to head against the Tricks, Bloom quickly becomes enraged and Isley realizes that the power they've been looking for all along is within Bloom.
Who is this? Could she be... it's her!
Bloom can also be impulsive, irrational, and stubborn, but these flaws serve to make her a compelling and well-rounded protagonist. We've joined her on her journey and are hoping she'll find the answers she desperately needs. We even sympathize with her when it's clear she's reached a dead end, but Bloom always manages to summon an ounce of hope. Of course, with every powerful girl boss comes a flood of Mary Sue accusations. Bloom is not a Mary Sue, and here's why. First claim: Mary Sues are unrealistically perfect, have no flaws and weaknesses, and never face consequences for their actions. And I'm happy to debunk this claim because we've seen throughout the series that Bloom has flaws and weaknesses. Bloom is shy, naive, and insecure when we first meet her, and she suffers from major imposter syndrome in season 1 when she believes she doesn't belong in Althea. She also has a low self-esteem, which is why she loses her powers in the first place and must fight an internal battle against herself to regain them. Bloom, as previously stated, is an escapist, and when things become confusing, she runs away rather than confronting them. Bloom is humiliated when she discovers Sky is secretly engaged to Diaspro after making a spectacle of herself at Red Fountain, prompting her to leave Althea and return to Gardenia to live with her parents. Bloom is at her lowest point right now. She doesn't have a shred of self-esteem left in her. The Tricks confront her and reveal that she is the Princess of Domino, and with this avalanche of information, they are able to get under her skin and steal her powers.
My dear Bloom, you are the daughter of the King and Queen of Domino. You're the last and only heir to the throne. You're the guardian of the greatest power in the universe.
Keep in mind that Bloom is powerless for about 8 episodes in season 1. And I appreciate this writing decision because it allowed us to see Bloom adjust to life without her powers and rely on her intelligence, resourcefulness, and quick thinking, but also rely on her friends. I believe Bloom discovering she is the keeper of the Dragon Flame added an enormous amount of pressure on her, especially since she was just an ordinary girl a few months ago. Trying to learn how to control her powers while also protecting them from dark forces did not make things any easier for her. She was bound to snap at some point. It's also extremely clever to demonstrate how emotions influence how powerful you are. As a result, Bloom is easily overpowered by the Tricks while suffering from imposter syndrome. Bloom has to find herself again, reach for that spark within her. No pun intended.
Bloom, to recover your powers, look deep inside yourself.
There is a difference between being powerful and being overpowered. Yes, Bloom is the most powerful fairy in the magical dimension, but her immense power constantly puts her on her enemies' radars, and her opponents do have the upper hand against her most of the times. Another reason why Bloom is not a Mary Sue is because she is unable to earn her enchantix in the same way that the other girls do. A character could have all the power in the world and still have limits. Season 3 reveals that fairies can evolve into their final fairy form, Enchantix. And no, we are discrediting season 4 and the rest of Winx Club. In my world, Enchantix is the final fairy form, and in a perfect world, Winx Club would have ended at season 3. Just let me live out my delusions, okay? Just let me. I need this. I really, really need this. I've been through a lot. Enchantix is a whole new level where the girls get cool powers like fairy dust and miniaturization. To obtain Enchantix, one must sacrifice themselves for a person from their home planet. Bloom is unable to earn hers for the majority of the season because Domino has been destroyed, including all of its inhabitants, until she wills herself into her transformation through sheer determination. Again, this does not imply that she is perfect or that she breaks all the rules. It is simply a dimension to her character that highlights her mental strength and ability to achieve something improbable despite all odds being stacked against her. Many Bloom haters who have issues with this storyline conveniently forget that despite her earning Enchantix in a different way, Bloom was unable to access certain powers that the other girls possessed. She couldn't use miniaturization, and she midway through a training exercise after summoning too much of her energy. Even Ferraganda admits that her Enchantix is dangerously incomplete.
Because your Enchantix power is dangerously incomplete. The others have a power that was born out of sacrifice. Your Enchantix was created by pure force of will. It's not the same.
This is especially terrifying given Valtor is a formidable opponent and arguably the strongest antagonist they faced. Not to mention that Valtor also possesses a spark of the Dragon Flame. For this reason, Bloom must devise a new strategy to defeat Valtor, risking her life in the process. Claim 2. Mary Sues have way too many talents, achievements, and everyone around her is conveniently dumbed down. False for Bloom's case. Sure, Bloom is talented, but it's just the right amount. The claim is false because of the law system Winx Club follows when it comes to each girl's power. Bloom, being the fairy of the Dragon Flame, has fire-based powers where her spells can manifest in the form of fire dragons, fireballs, fire beams, firestorms, explosions of varying intensities. You get the gist. Flora has nature-based powers, Stella can control light, Aisha is the fairy of waves/fluids, Musa the fairy of music, and Tecna the fairy of technology. Because of this system, each girl has a unique power accustomed to them, though all of them are able to perform various spells outside of their respective powers. The show doesn't really give much on Bloom's talents other than a slight mention that she's great at drawing.
Wow! Did you draw these?
Yes.
They're amazing! Sorry, I'm a bit nosy.
Musa is obviously a musical prodigy, Stella has a knack for fashion, Aisha is a talented dancer and a competitive sports player, Flora knows everything about nature, and Tecna is extremely good at video games. My point is, not one girl outshines the other, at least in my opinion. And even if that is the case, it definitely isn't emphasized because much of our focus is on the battle against their enemies. I for one paid more attention to how the girls were going to defeat the Trix, Lord Darker, and Valtor. In addition, I don't think everyone around Bloom is made dumber for her to look smart. All of the girls are generally very smart, and even the specialists. Yes, I have to give credit where credit is due. And a lot of the times, Bloom's enemies do outsmart her, like Darker and Professor Avalor. Claim 3. Mary Sue's get too much screen time. Hello, Bloom is the main character, for goodness sake. She's naturally going to take up much of the screen time, but that doesn't mean the other girls are irrelevant. With this claim, I have to ask you guys, did you not watch season 2? Season 2 is the most character-driven season. Each girl has to earn their Charmix power whilst also learning to work as a team and work through their rough patches. Each girl gets their deserved screen time, and it never felt like one got more than the other. In fact, I'd even go as far as argue that Bloom kind of fell into the background, giving Aisha, Stella, Musa, Tecna, and Flora a chance to shine. Heck, even Timmy and Riven. Claim 4. The last claim. Mary Sue's tend to have a tragic backstory. And yes, this is true for Bloom to a certain extent, but I have to remind you that just because she has one Mary Sue characteristic-ish, that doesn't make her a complete Mary Sue. It's common for a lot of protagonists in general to fall under this category. On paper, some female characters may appear overpowered and too good to be true, but in context, they can be well-developed, three-dimensional characters. When a trait exists to make someone stand out rather than to develop them as a character, it enters Mary Sue territory. With every claim I had listed so far, it's never in the intention to make Bloom this godlike figure. Bloom progressively develops throughout seasons 1 to 3. And yes, okay, I'm gonna be objective. I can understand why people would think she is a Mary Sue in the later seasons. But honestly, I would just argue and say Bloom kind of regressed as a character. She just remained stagnant, I guess. Like, I didn't really care too much for her storyline. Like, she didn't even have a storyline in like seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Like, she was just there, I guess. All of the characters were just there. So I wouldn't really say she's a Mary Sue. She just kind of becomes annoying in the later seasons. So yeah. The main takeaway from this video is that it's super unproductive to just toss around words and phrases that you don't even understand the meaning of. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've seen someone on Twitter, or any social media platform for that matter, go on a rant about how a specific character is a Mary Sue, but then list off character traits that contradict what qualifies a female character to be a Mary Sue. It's kind of awkward and embarrassing. It may be the case you just don't click with that character, and that's fine. But the problem is when you perpetuate an image of a character to fit your own personal narrative that is nowhere true to the actual story, because you are letting your personal feelings get in the way of formulating an objective analysis. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're new. I do have a part 2 to this coming up where I defend Korra from the Mary Sue accusations, so if you're a fan of the Legend of Korra, be sure to turn on that bell button so you don't miss when I upload. But as for today, that's it from me, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!